You think they could do that, Mitch?
Sure.
All right. If you guys are ready for this information, ready to take action, let us hear it. We want to know.
I'm ready.
Ready.
I'm ready.
I say you ready?
For president.
One
Yeah,
shoe.
push that. Let's go. Ready.
Ready.
Let's get it.
Insurance
Ready.
Love it. Love it. Mitch, we're live on Facebook, my guy. Let's take it away. Let's give him some game today.
All right, welcome everybody. Look, we about to get right into it. I want to make sure we use every inch of this time that we have to be able to give y'all information. So this is the time for y'all to pull out the notepads and get the jotting down what I'm saying. So now, the first thing I'm gonna get into, and it's a very important thing that everybody should know before they even get into this rental car space, and that's how to protect the assets, how to protect the cars, which is gonna be insurance. A lot of people don't understand what insurance is. Like, they don't even get it. The best thing about the rental car space is that they let you put insurance on your cars. The best thing about real estate is that they put insurance on your house. So insurance is the best thing about jewelry. They let you put insurance on your jewelry. So I want y'all to understand what that means when you get insurance, right? So now, insurance, if everybody doesn't know what it is, that you have to be street compliant, you have to have liability insurance on your car. Does everybody know what liability insurance is? I'm talking to my VIPs when I'm talking. Does everybody know what liability insurance is? Okay, cool. So liability insurance is required in every state. That is the amount of money that is willing to be paid out if you hit somebody else in an accident, right? So there is no deductible when it comes to liability. You do not have to pay any deductible. If I were to hit somebody's car right now, if I were to pull off my Rolls Royce and I would go hit somebody from an offender bender and I don't got no damage to my car, but I only damaged the other person's car, I have no deductible to pay. All I got to do is say, look, I just hit this car, talk to the insurance company, it's going to literally pay them out. That's liability insurance, right? Now, when it comes to a deductible, that's when are you either using a comprehensive policy or you're using a collision policy, right? Collision is when I hit somebody and I damage my own car. So now when I got to fix my car, I have to pay a deductible. It can be $500. It can be $1,000 deductible. It can be a $2,000, $2,500 deductible. Now, me in particular, on my policies, I got Rolls Royces, Lamborghinis, and Ferraris, things of that nature. I always got the highest deductible. I got a $2,500 deductible on all my cars because I'm willing to pay $2,500 in the rare instance that I get into an accident to get a full coverage claim handled. Because 9 times out of 10, every time an accident happens, I'm going to use the other person's insurance. So it really won't fall onto me unless worst case scenario, which is when it's going to be totaled. And if it is totaled, I'm going to be paid out more than the car is worth. And the $2,500 will come from the total payout, which means I'll literally end up paying nothing. So I'm gonna break down comprehensive. And when you guys are using platforms like Toro, Hire Car, Get Around, Fetch Truck, you want to have a comprehensive policy. A comprehensive policy is simple, y'all. That's going to be rain damage, hail, fire, electrical, things like that. Those are going to be coming under comprehensive. If you use any of those platforms like Toro, Hire Count, Get Around, all of those different platforms, they do not cover you for comprehensive. So if a person were to rent your vehicle on Toro and they park underneath a tree and a tree falls on top of the car and crushes the car, you will not be covered by the Toro policy. That will have to fall under your personal policy, which is going to be a comprehensive one. And because y'all took this 5-day challenge, y'all going to have that policy on your car personally because y'all took my challenge. And then everybody else who didn't, they're not going to know that because a lot of people don't read the fine print. Everybody say read the fine print as my VIPs. On my VIPs, I got to make sure everybody locked in. Everybody say read the fine print. Yes, sir. Okay, cool. So like I was just saying, comprehensive is going to save your ass because if a deer hits your car, all of these different things like that, that's a collision. So it's something totally different. So if I hit a car, if I hit a pole, if somebody hits me, those are collision policies. Collision policy is going to cover you for that. And then everybody say uninsured motorists. Uninsured motorist policy. Uninsured motorists. And a lot of people are confused when they say, oh, I got full coverage. Some people have full coverage insurance and they don't have an uninsured motorist policy, don't have comprehensive. They just literally have collision and they think they have full coverage. That is not all of these things. Uninsured motorist is if you get in a hit and run. If you get hit and run, you're good. You don't have to worry about it that there was nobody else in the claim and they will not raise up your premium based off you getting into an accident with a hit and run. Also, another thing to keep in mind when it comes to insurance, let me tell you guys, they raise your premium up when you get into accidents. If you get multiple accidents in there, they're going to put what's called points on your insurance, which will make your insurance policy more expensive. So we want to avoid that at all costs. And then we're going to have what's called a commercial policy. A commercial policy is for business use. Commercial policy is for business use. Now, when you guys get a commercial policy, you guys are going to be in called the rental car industry. The rental car industry is high risk, right? Everybody say high risk. And because it's high risk, we have to treat it like when you get arrested. Y'all know when somebody arrests you, they say anything you say can and will be held against you in a court of law. It's the same thing when it comes to these insurance policies with high risk things. Same thing when it comes to getting underwriting banks to lend you things because you have a high risk business. So when you get a commercial policy, I'm going to tell you guys how to get a commercial policy in the rental car game. You have to get what's called an insurance broker. You cannot call Geico. You cannot call Progressive. You cannot call all of these different USAA. You cannot call State Farm and get a commercial policy for a rental car business. You cannot do that. You cannot get that. It's high risk. You have to get hire car insurance, which means that you are renting it out to somebody else. So you can Google an insurance broker and you can literally have them find you a perfect policy. So if you get an insurance broker, they will go ahead and call Progressive, Geico on your behalf and make a policy unique to what you are doing. So you're going to be renting it out and you want to get a policy, you get an insurance broker, right? So now that's one. Also, guys can use what's called, I want y'all to write this down and I'm going to have my assistant go ahead, Alton, and drop the link in here. Everybody can copy and paste this link. I'm going to give you guys what's called GMI insurance. GMI is called gmi-insurance.com. GMI insurance is going to be able to give you a policy where you can do peer-to-peer rentals, which is like Turo, hire car, get around. And also you can use it for commercial use. You want to make sure you have that type of policy when you are getting a bunch of vehicles. A lot of people are worried about, hey, Mitch, man, what happens when I get 10, 11 cars and I have my personal policy? Will they be worried about it? No, unless you got an excess amount like over 10, that's when you're going to start thinking about getting a commercial policy. But you can use GMI and also you can use State Farm. State Farm can actually do it. State Farm does peer-to-peer rental policies as well. State Farm actually does this. Geico doesn't do this. Allstate doesn't do this, but State Farm does do it. I got my assistant on here. Mike, I don't know if you can unmute Alton Guyton, or I think it's Vic Voss. He might have it under Vic Voss. I want him to tell them firsthand the type of policy that he has for his rental cars from State Farm. Mike, can you see him?
Yeah, I'm not seeing his name.
It might be, it's not, I don't think he got the Alton one. It might be under Vic Voss. Let me see. Comment on the chat real quick, Alton.
Is it automation?
Yeah, automation. That's him right there. That's him.
Hello, can everyone hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, so basically, talking about insurance, so for me specifically, I spoke to State Farm and kind of informed them that I was using the vehicles for business use. And what they did is to avoid me having to pay like extremely high insurance costs. They basically took my insurance policy, and it's a personal policy, but it's under my personal, and the cars are used for business use. So the cars that are strictly used for, going out and being driven for Uber and Lyft and different things of that nature. They're under my policy as business use vehicles. So that's one thing you can definitely communicate to State Farm, because when they gave me the quote for what it would cost to have an actual business policy, it was like $400 per car, which is like double what I usually have to pay. But when it comes to the cars being under my personal policy and leverage for business use, it's like $200. So way cheaper, way less expensive. I can still stay within good profit margins for having the cars out. But we have an understanding that, hey, I'm using these vehicles for business. State Farm understands, I understand. So if there's an issue, they know what's going on beforehand, and it's cost efficient.
Absolutely. So now, after we talk about insurance and having all of these policies and things of that nature in place, I wanted to make sure I set y'all up for 100% success when y'all start to rent these cars out privately, because you have to have a certain things in place. There's also, I want to make sure that y'all can understand how to get the claims paid out 100% of the time. So with that being said, I want you, Alton, while I got you on here, telling the scenario where you didn't get a claim paid out and why. And then I'm gonna give him the answer on how he could have avoided that. Let's go.
You there, bro?
Yep,
Yeah.
I'm here. So I had to get unmuted again. Okay, so I theoretically had back-to-back accidents within like maybe a 2-week process. So my first claim was with my GLE, and I didn't properly understand how to communicate to the insurance companies. So when I communicated with them, I was very I was very upfront and forthcoming with information. And with that being said, they basically understood that the vehicle was being used for business purposes. And I basically had to take care of that claim out of pocket to get that car fixed, right? So cool, lesson learned. So for the second accident, what I did is I had the driver give me everything I had him give me all the information for the actual accident. I had his name, I had his ID. So, when we're doing private rentals, you make sure you get their IDs because you're definitely gonna need that. So I had his ID, I had his his address, I got his updated address, I had his date of birth. I called the insurance company on his behalf and communicated exactly what happened within the accident on his behalf, and then Geico covered the claim, and I should get the car back like in a day or two or something like that, right? But with that being said, to be more specific, like you have to get all their information and call on their behalf and communicate on their behalf, because the driver may not know what to say to the insurance company. So you have to do that for them.
Exactly. So keep it short and sweet. We are the ones who are in business, and we are the ones who have to understand. I said this at the beginning. We are an insurance business and we're in a rental car business. So you need to know exactly what to say to make sure at 100% of the time your claims get paid out.
For the actual very claim was with my GLE, and I didn't properly understand how to communicate to the insurance companies. So when I communicated with them, I was very I was very upfront and forthcoming with information. And with that being said, they basically understood that the vehicle was being used for business purposes. And I basically had to take care of that claim out of pocket to get that car fixed, right? So cool, lesson learned. So for the second accident, what I did is I had the driver give me everything I had him give me all the information for the actual accident. I had his name, I had his ID. So, when we're doing private rentals, you make sure you get their IDs because you're definitely gonna need that. So I had his ID, I had his his address, I got his updated address, I had his date of birth. I called the insurance company on his behalf and communicated exactly what happened within the accident on his behalf, and then Geico covered the claim, and I should get the car back like in a day or two or something like that, right? But with that being said, to be more specific, like you have to get all their information and call on their behalf and communicate on their behalf, because the driver may not know what to say to the insurance company. So you have to do that for them.
Exactly. So keep it short and sweet. We are the ones who are in business, and we are the ones who have to understand. I said this at the beginning. We are an insurance business and we're in a rental car business. So you need to know exactly what to say to make sure at 100% of the time your claims get paid out. So every time, I'm going to say basically in layman's term what he just tried to say. If a person were to be driving one of my vehicles and he gets into an accident, and he's at fault. If he's at fault, and then I got to handle the claim, I literally will I'm not going to let him call and say what happened on the accident. I'm going to call and say what happened on the accident to make sure that they have the information necessary to cover the claim, nothing that's going to make it to where they don't want to cover the claim, to keep it simple and sweet. So instead of them calling, hey, yeah, I went there and I rented this car from so-and-so and did this, they're going to deny that claim. I'll just call them and say, hey, I was in an accident, what happened on the accident, to make sure that